Hello, my name is Jamie Tackett. I've chosen to do my teaching presentation on Buddhism. Buddha's original name was Siddhartha Gautama. Buddha was born between the 4th and 6th century in India to a king and a royal family. It was prophesied that Buddha would become the emperor of India or a holy man. His father, wanting him to be the emperor of India, tried to sway the prophecy in his favor and kept him secluded in the palace, and he had only the best of life. He never got outside into the world. All he knew was what he seen in front of him, and that was jewels and food and servants and money and wealth, anything that he could have ever wanted. It wasn't until Buddha was 29 years old that he thought that there was more to life than living secluded in just a palace. He left there and he went out into the world, and that's where the story comes from, that he met a sick man, then an aging man, and a dying man. He then realized that these people and their conditions made up most of the normal world that surrounded him. He met a holy man who seeks spiritual life with all the devastation going on around him in the world. And that's when Buddha Siddhartha had decided to leave the palace and go out on his own to seek this also spiritual life of enlightenment. That's when he went on a 40-day fast, and that he did not include himself in any luxuries in life at all, and that includes bathing, eating. He literally didn't eat for so long that it said that he nearly starved himself to death. Then the one thing that Buddhists are trying to get to is a point in time in their life that they are enlightened. And through that, they believe that your happiness is not based on material things. I guess it says we're unhappy not because we don't have enough money, love, or status. It's because we're greedy, vain, and insecure. A motto of theirs says, you can turn ignorance into wisdom, anger into compassion, greed into generosity, that we can move beyond suffering, in which they follow the Four Noble Truths. And that goes along with what they call, it's like an eightfold path. And that is right concentration, right intentions, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness. Then, sorry guys, I have to keep flipping through my notes because I couldn't quite remember all this. His sermons or sayings that he had come up with during his process of being enlightened, and even the time after he became enlightened, is called the Sutra. Monasteries grew and multiplied after Buddha had become enlightened, and Buddhism became a very popular religion. In the 3rd century, king named Ashoka grew. He was troubled. He had fought a lot of wars and killed a lot of people, and he converted to Buddhism. And then when he converted to Buddhism, he wanted to spread the words, so he sent monks out to spread the word over Asia and across the world. And that's when Buddhism divided into 2 different groups. Now today, I mean, they're in several different, many different groups, but I'll get into that later. At this time, it was the Theravada Buddhism, which is in Southeast Asia. Then Mahana Buddhism, that's mostly in China and Northeast Asia. Today there are 1.5 billion Buddhists from east to west. Buddhist teachings are important regardless of our religious identification. And the reason I put that note in there is because a lot of the things that, I read about Buddhism, it is really, really right. One of my favorite uh, sayings that I seen was, we're unhappy not because we don't have enough money, love, or status. It's because we're greedy, vain, and insecure. And really, I know I am a lot. I could definitely do like everybody else probably to be better in a lot of areas. Then I have, for Buddhists, they do not believe in God, one single God of the universe. It's a lot like the Hindu religion, but they differ in a lot of ways. From what I've read, Buddhist and Hindu back several centuries ago worshipped together, but Buddha, he rejected their view on the afterlife, after death, and the issue of a God. I have to find my notes. Sorry, guys. Buddha rejected speculation about such matters as God, the nature of the universe, and the afterlife, urging followers to instead focus on the Four Noble Truths. That's kind of where Buddhist and Hindu separate and go different ways. Because a lot of their views I found were the same between Hindu and Buddhism. So they center on correct understanding of human nature and ultimate reality, hence the name, the Enlightened One. It has been 2,500 years since Buddha's enlightenment. Buddhism, like I had said before, had spread into several different groups, not just the two that I had mentioned over time and hundreds of years. There's a variety of different types of practices. Buddhist don't as much, I guess we call it reincarnation. Buddhism, they tend to refer to it as transmigration, because that's one major difference between Hinduism and Buddhism, is that in Hindu they believe that you come back, you're like as a different person, or it could be an animal or even an insect, depending on what kind of life you live. But Buddhists believe that you come back as like you're reborn and live life over again, and gives you another chance to become enlightened through your life. I know that there is probably way more to Buddhism than that, but that's pretty much all the time that I have. Thanks.